Up tonight, we continue our coverage of the tragedy in Nashville. A school shooting there at a private Christian school, leaving 6 people dead, 3 of those victims children. So for much more on the security aspect of this most recent tragedy, we now want to bring in Chip Johnson. And Mr. Johnson, thank you so much for joining us. You have more than 40 years of law enforcement experience. You're now the president of a consulting firm when it comes to security. So your biggest takeaway in the security aspect of this most recent tragedy, what were some of those big takeaways that you have when looking at this?
Well, first and foremost, I'd certainly offer my condolences and prayers for the families and all those affected with this. It's a terrible and a tragic, senseless situation. The biggest takeaway that I have in this is that we continue to examine these incidents when they occur, but we don't make the necessary changes. And if we continue to do that until we change something that we currently are doing, we should not anticipate a difference in the outcome of these. We have a very broad problem in our country as a whole with behavioral health. And at some point in time, that has to be addressed, where people have the ability, when they realize that a loved one or someone that they know is suffering from some type of a behavioral health incident, that there is the opportunity and the methodology by which they can reach out and get help, and that there are resources there at the time that they do it. That's a very broad part of this. The next area that I have always had concern with is the construction of our schools. If you look at this situation, how this individual entered that school was simply by shooting her way through 2 glass doors. Glass doors don't belong on schools. That's not a way to control access into a school. And so we at some point have got to come together and develop a way in which we can protect the assets of a school by limiting the ability, one, to get to the school, and then limiting the ability of somebody with that intent to get into the school, to make that harder. The tougher it is, the longer we have them in a place that law enforcement has the opportunity to get there before somebody gets hurt.
Situations like the doors, that takes a lot of funding. A lot of districts don't have that kind of funding. So what are some areas that may be low cost but most effective for some of these school districts?
Well, every layer of government has to make choices just like we all do in our homes. We prioritize the things that we put money behind. I would challenge anybody that if you look in our local budgets, our state budgets, our school board budgets, and certainly our national budget, that we could locate and reprioritize current funding to put in to retrofit schools, and then begin an immediate process to identify how we can construct new schools that would meet these standards so that we could protect those children and the teachers that are there.
You mentioned the mental health aspect. A lot of that seems to be the counterpoint to maybe some individuals who want more gun control in place. Seems like those are the two sides politically speaking. But you as a security expert, where's that middle ground where moving forward, ultimately, because everybody wants to protect these kids, where's that middle ground where we can finally protect these children?
Well, one of the biggest middle ground is this is not about guns. I don't care, and I'm not being political about this. It doesn't matter if they walk in with a baseball bat, a piece of rock, a knife, a gun. It's a weapon. Everything fits under that category. If they're coming there to harm our children and our teachers with a weapon of any type, then it meets the criteria that they need to be stopped, and we need to make it so that it's difficult for them to get at the people that they are targeting.
And so what are some of your biggest takeaways moving forward? The most important lesson learned, you mentioned the doors, you mentioned the individuals. How can we stop the next school shooting?
We have to collaborate. We have to bring people in that sit at the table, that are looking for solutions, that can put their biases aside, that can state their opinions, but be open-minded at the same time to others' opinions, and to find a way to really address this and get it done. Look for a model, make it, test it. Let's be sure that it works, and then let's share that. But when you talk about the school construction, we're not just talking about glass doors or windows. We're talking about technology. We're talking about crime prevention through environmental design. That's a concept that has been used in both the public and private sectors for decades to protect and ensure, the things that are most treasurable to us, that we protect that. So there are already a lot of opportunities out there. It's just a matter for us to get the right people at the table with the right mindset and put all the noise aside and focus on what we are challenged with and come up with a solution with it. We have very talented people in our country. We have talented architects. We have talented people who know electronics and technology. We have talented law enforcement officers. We have talented administrators in our school districts, and bless their heart, we have talented teachers. There is a way to bring all of those together and to take the best from everybody's idea and implement it, and let's see how it works.
All right, Mr. Johnson for us this evening. Again, hopefully we have those solutions, because at the end of it all, we want to protect these kids. Mr. Johnson, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.